Today we're going to do a step-by-step installation of the American Adventure Labs rear inner fender liner for the Gladiator. This will be step-by-step. It'll cover some things that aren't covered in the instructions. If you're not familiar with the American Adventure Labs inner fender liner, it is all aluminum and it is removable, which is one of the things that I really like about it. I had occasion to remove the stock inner fender liners, the plastic ones, and when I removed them, I discovered all kinds of mud and just packed into some of the channels, and I just realized how hard it was to clean that out. So I was looking for something that was easily removable so that I could get in there and clean things out, do any maintenance that needed to be done in there, things like that. So this is what it looks like in there with no fender liner. So this channel that you can see right here was full of mud. This area up here was all covered with mud, and all along in there you can see some of the mud even now, right? So that's the stuff I wanted to clean out and have access to. And American Fender Liners is a very easily removable and installable. So I'm installing these fender liners on a stock configuration. The fender flare is stock, the inside piece is stock. The only thing I've removed is the inner fender liner that the factory installed. That's been removed. When you remove that, if you need to, there are screws, the instruction call them bolts. There are 3 screws that go in these holes. You will need to retain those. You need to use those to install some of the hardware that's required to install the inner fender liner. The next step is to remove the fender flare by undoing these. If you have not purchased the nutsert kit that replaces these from Adventure Labs, you will need to retain these. You will need to not break these. Now, there are 3 of these that are very hard to get out. I was unable to do it. I broke them. The good news is that when you are putting the pieces together to put this back on, you're going to get 6 clips back because they're going to be replaced by screws that you're going to use to install the mounting pieces for the inner fender liner. So I'll cover that in a minute. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this fender flare off. So as I said, it's important to not break these white plastic clips. So the technique that I've used that I found works well, I use one of these plastic panel removal tools, and I put it underneath so that I put outward pressure on the clip, and then I use a pair of pliers to pinch the plastic pieces together so that it opens out, and then you can take it out without breaking it. All right, so with that first one out, I just continue to move around. You can reach up behind and get a hold of this one. So it's a little harder because you got to use your thumb. You can't use the pliers. But I did manage to get it out. There's 3 on the other side that are going to be really hard. I'll cover those in a minute. Maybe this one is broken. Yeah, this one. That one's already broken. All right, so again, slide that tool in there, take the pliers, pinch the wings together. That's on there. And it comes right out. And you continue that all the way around. And And you continue that all the way around. When we get to the two hard ones, I'll show you. I basically just rip it out and they break, and that's life. Like I said, you've got 3 that you've got 6 that you can replace them with to put it back on. The next step is to place the screws into the fender flare so that when you put it back on, they're in place so that you can mount these 3 parts. So this was a little bit confusing the first time I tried it based on the instructions because I didn't think the pictures were very good, so I'd like to make it more explicit. To be clear, this is front, this is back, right? We turned it around when we put it on the table. So part D1 goes on this curve right here. So we're gonna remove these attachment points. D2 goes here, right in the center. I'm going to back up a minute. To be clear, we are 1, 2, 3, 4. Position 5 and 6. And this is, again, the front of the fender flare. So counting from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's where those 2 screws go. 7, 8, and 9 are where the screws go for part D2. D2. So we're going to remove those as well. Okay, so we have D1, D2, and then part 3 goes here. From the bottom again, 1, 2, 3, 4, locations 5 and 6. And we're going to remove those. And I'm saving all of these white clips because I've got a few that are broken, so I'm going to replace those. But my recommendation would be, if you have not yet purchased this kit, I would purchase the Nutsert kit that they have that American Adventure Labs has that replaces these, and I would do it all at the same time. All right, so we have D1, D2, D3. So this next step that I'm going to do is not in the instructions, but I found it useful. When you put these screws and washers in place, there's a plastic pylon-like thing right here that goes up to support where those go in. If you try to put the screw underneath that pylon, number one, it's hard to get under there. Number two, it's very hard to get your screwdriver in there to tighten that screw. I installed on the passenger side, I installed it without modifying these pylons. Found it really, really hard. And so this is the step that I took. For each of these pylons, I'm going to take an X-Acto saw and I'm going to cut off about 1/4 or 3/8 of an inch off of each one where a screw is going to go. So I'm eyeballing it. I'm not real specific here, but I'm going to take off about 1/4 of an inch. All right, so with that little bit cut out, now it becomes very easy to slip this screw and the custom washer into place. And it's much easier to get your screwdriver in there to tighten it up. All right, so I'm going to do that with the other 5 locations. Okay, so I've cut out all these little pieces. So now I can go back and I can put the screws in place for all of them. We're going to do that before we put the fender flare back on. So we'll put the fender flare back on, and then we'll go about mounting these 3 parts. Make sure you put the little nubs pointing in the right direction so that they fit into those little slots. That's apparently important. Okay, we got all the screws in place now. 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to look for some missing places or places where these are broken, and I'll replace those broken and missing clips with some of these that I have left over. Again, if I had it to do over, I would buy the nutsert kit from American Labs and do this together. Do it all in one piece. These things are kind of a pain in the butt. All right then, with the screws in place, the broken clips replaced, so I've got clips in all the places now, I'm ready to put the fender back on. So that's what we're going to do next. All right, so next we're going to remount the fender. There's a guide right here. It goes in this hole right here. So you start there. And then you need to go along and make sure that you get the screws located into place. So they're going through their holes. They're lining up and then it's just push and bang. Okay, so with that, so now the fender flare's back in place. So then the next step is to actually mount those components that we set up. So I'm going to start with D1 all the way in the front. So I'm putting in part D1. It goes in this frontmost location on these 2 screws, and I'm using a number 4 hex to install it, and because of the cramped space, I'm using my little knurl thing. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to double check and I'm going to make sure that these little washers are in the right, are in the slots like they're supposed to be. So now we're going to go to number 2. So number 2 is a little hard to see, but it's going to mount. So this is the number 2 part. It's going to mount to this screw and this screw. So again, using my number 4 and I'm kind of doing it in the blind. Got the first screw started, come over to the second screw, again in the blind, getting them lined up. All right, so with 1 and 2 in, now we're going to put in number 3. So number 3 goes right here on these two. Still using my cool little Craftsman doohickey. Next, we're going to put in part number 4. We're going to use the screws that we took out when we removed the factory inner fender liner, and they're going to go into here, here, and here. Part number 4 looks like this. And we're using a number 8 socket to screw it in. Okay, so the instructions said to leave all of the screws a little loose before assembling. Apparently they want you to come back and tighten them up later. I did not do that on my install on the passenger side. I tightened all of these up except for this one. This one I left a little loose so that it could move around. So the next bit we're going to do is we're going to remove this bracket that they say needs to be removed because if it's there, then the liner won't go in. They say to use a flathead screwdriver. I've got this cool little tool for removing these kind of things. So I'm going to use that. There's one. There's 2, 13 millimeter socket, and 1, 2. Crash, bang, boom. Ooh, I think something came off that wasn't supposed to. So the instructions only call for the removal of this piece. Not this piece. So I'm going to put this piece back on. And there we go. So the instructions say that there's holes to mount these on the frame. I seriously question that. I can't hit this hole. There is, it's mounted right there, but there's really nowhere to go. So I don't know what their plan was for that. All right, so here's what I did. I undid this one, this attachment which goes in right there, and I undid the big attachment from the bracket, and I kind of pushed it back up in there. I'm not happy with it. I wish there really was a place to remount it someplace else, but there's not. So there you go. So that's what I did. If you got a better solution or you find a place where it goes, please leave something down in the comments and tell me how to do it. I don't know. The next step in the process is to assemble the components that make the inner fender liner so that we can install it onto the brackets that we just got done installing. I should mention that when I ordered this kit, I ordered raw aluminum, and then I used Rust-Oleum professional aluminum primer, and then the finish coat was Rust-Oleum professional flat black enamel. If I had it to do over again, I would use bed liner, and I may end up refinishing these with bed liner, but that's what I did. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this aluminum piece behind the logo using the M4 0.7 screws. I believe they're 1/2 inch. The nuts, I'm sure they're metric. However, I found that a 9/32 wrench will work. So here we go. So there we go. We got the aluminum behind the emblem. It's all very cool. I learned that these nuts are a 7mm. So if you want to use the correct thing. All right, so here we have the pieces laid out and ready to assemble. So, and I've changed things around. So this is back, this is front. This back piece has the two pieces with the 4 nut certs. The front piece has none of that. So that's the way to tell them apart. From the pictures, it was a little challenging for me to figure that out. So I figure somebody else might have the same problem. These are the 14mm bolts, nuts, screws that you're going to use. I don't have a particular order. I just go through and put all of the nuts in, all of the screws in loosely, so that I can fit it together. And then once I have it fitted together, I tighten them up. The instructions say to leave them loose while you fit it into the, actually in, and then tighten it up after the fact. I did not do that on the passenger side. I don't intend to do it on this side. Maybe I'll try it. I haven't decided yet. All right, so that's it. It's assembled. At this point, the instructions say to mount it with all of these loose and then tighten them up. I didn't do that on the first one. I may try it on this one just to see how that goes. So the install is complete. I did the first one on the passenger side. I did not, I tightened everything up before I put the panel in, And on this one, I did as the instructions said. I didn't notice a significant difference. Yeah, I didn't notice a significant difference. The struggle comes in lining up all the panels to where they're supposed to be so that you can get all the holes and the springs to line up. But otherwise, it's not that bad. I learned that I would do their Nutsert product at the same time and replace all of those white clips. And if I had it to do over again, I would paint with bed liner instead of just the flat black. We'll see how it goes. If it doesn't get scratched up and if it doesn't get all dented up and it doesn't wear, you know, we're getting ready to go on a Jeep Jamboree. We'll be out there this weekend. This video won't be out before then. So you're going to be watching this after the Jeep Jamboree, but we'll see how it goes there. If I end up painting them, I'll probably do just a quick video to talk about that. Overall, I'm happy with the product. It's been a bit of a challenge getting it all installed and getting all the parts and all of that. American Adventure Labs is a startup, and they're still solving some process issues. I don't hold that against them at all. I would definitely buy from them again. I'm probably going to buy the Nutsert product and redo the fender flares with that so that I can get rid of those white clips. Highly recommend the product. I like it. I like the fact that I can remove it and put it back so I can clean and do whatever back there. So I hope this has been useful to somebody. Click like and subscribe if you like content like this. I've got a few more videos that I'm planning to do, and we're working on producing more content that is Jeep related and kind of old man adventure related. I'm really focused on guys that are like, 55, 60, still active, still doing exciting stuff. So share my adventures and hear about yours. Thanks. See you next time.